Hi everybody, Levi Clay here, and today I'm going to talk to you about the piano learning app Playground Sessions. Now, I want to be super clear, this is not a sponsored video in any way, shape or form. I have not been paid to make this video. While I do have a membership on Playground, I paid full retail price for that as part of my New Year's resolution because yes, this year I decided to finally pull my finger out and learn piano. For the longest time, I have been telling my students, friends, family, anyone that will listen, that two of my main regrets in life are not spending more time working on vocals and not spending more time learning the piano, because it doesn't matter how seriously you take music. There will come a point where if you want to delve further into things, the books that you will start to look at will notate everything for piano players. If you look at great theory books, you want to really study the ins and outs of harmony and how things work, you're often going to find those things are catered to people that understand the piano. So there's just so much you can learn by understanding how the piano works. You can learn so much about harmony. It's a very visual instrument. It's a very useful instrument for teaching, and it's something that I've neglected for a very, very long time. So yes, no sponsorship whatsoever, and I think that will become very apparent when I give you some of my feedback on this app. So I've been using Playground Sessions for the best part of a month now, and I've been having a good time with it. But of course, I should preface this also by saying you would expect that to be the case. I am a professional musician. I have been a professional musician for well over a decade. I've been teaching music for getting on for 20 years now. I have a lot of experience in music and education. I am qualified both as a musician. I also have qualifications in education. So when it comes to teaching, it's something that I'm extremely passionate about. As most of you that watch this know, I write books. I've been writing articles for magazines for years. I have instructional DVDs. I have a big student base. So teaching is something that I'm extremely passionate about, so I can give you feedback on this course and everything that Playground are offering based on my experience as a teacher. But it is worth pointing out that my experience as a teacher is not as a piano teacher. So while I might and definitely will criticize some of the elements of how things are presented on Playground Sessions, I'm doing that from my perspective of as an educator rather than as an experienced piano teacher. And while I have got great results out of using Playground, it's also worth considering that if you are not in my position, i.e. if you don't have as much experience as a musician as I do, your progress will definitely be much slower. For me, I have a deep understanding of how music works. I can read music. I have an understanding of reading music very quickly. I can read multiple lines, bass clef, treble clef. These things aren't a problem for me. So for me, learning the piano was really about the technical facility, about working on the things that I needed to develop independence in my hands. Anyway, let's talk about Playground Sessions. So what is Playground Sessions? Well, Playground Sessions is a website and an app that was advertised to me initially via Facebook. And I was drawn in because when looking at the website, there's a big picture of Harry Connick Jr. and on the homepage. So Harry Connick Jr., award-winning Emmy, Grammy award-winning pianist, a fantastic player, and he's one of the biggest the favourites of my girlfriend Melissa. She's a huge fan of Harry Connick Jr. So when I saw this, I know she's wanting to take her piano playing more seriously. So I thought, well, what a perfect place to do that. So I purchased 2 lifetime memberships so we could learn to play piano with Harry Connick Jr. The more I looked at the website, the more I saw that it's, I want to say endorsed by, but actually co-owned, I believe, by Quincy Jones. Again, a monumentally important person in terms of the history of the music industry and something that's very interesting to me. So it looks extremely promising. Now, when you become a member of Playground, you will start to look around and get a feel for what the app and the site is all about. Really, the basic idea is that there are a selection of boot camp lessons. So for rookies, intermediate, and advanced players. And the idea is that you would work your way through each one of these courses and gradually develop the skills that you need to become a better musician. As you begin to do that, you will start to unlock more courses on the website. And of course, at any point, you can go into the songs section. You get an allocated amount of song downloads per month, which you can learn from. So you can download any songs that you want and start working on those. And they're not just throwing you, here's the music for them, play them. They're all broken down into small sections so you can practice each part and build up the skills required to play each individual part. In theory, what you have here is a very nice, a very well designed concept for learning to play the piano. Based on that description, it sounds fantastic, right? And Well, let's get on to it. So the main thing that I love about playground sessions is there's a gamified mechanic to it. To someone like me, encouraging an element of competition and encouraging an element of achievement is something that really speaks to me. So when you play on Playground, when you practice, when you play along with things, it's logging how much time you've been practicing for. So at any time, I can see exactly how much time I have put into my practice, which urges me to push on forward and to make sure that I'm practicing more than Melissa, which of course I am. You also level up. You earn points when you do performances. The more points you earn, the higher your experience goes, and you start to level up. Now, ultimately, these numbers mean nothing, but there's one hell of a rush for someone like me. When you finish a performance, you get your points, and that big ding sounds, and it tells you that you've leveled up. Like I say, it means nothing, but it does give you that sense of achievement, and I am a big, big fan of that. It gives you something to aim for. So I play a piece, and at the end of it, it's grading what I'm playing. Because, of course, the beauty of the piano, unlike the guitar, is that MIDI is so ingrained in the modern piano. You can plug your keyboard into the computer and play, and the computer can register what you're doing. So really, as an app, Playground you can press play, play along, and it's monitoring if you are playing the right notes and if you're playing them in time.
4, 1, 2, set, go.
Much, much harder to do that on the guitar. While MIDI guitars do exist, they are nowhere near as widespread as MIDI technology for the piano. So that's really how this thing works. That's the gaming side of things. And yeah, definitely a big fan of it. But I think it's really important to address some of the issues that you may have with Playground. So what I have to say here is going to seem extremely negative, and I do mean it in the most negative way possible when I say these things. I have some great pros for the website, and to me personally, those pros do outweigh the cons. But you need to really consider these cons if Playground is something that you're considering. So when you look at the actual content contained on Playground, there is very, very little actual video content. Very little actual video content. As I mentioned earlier on, the reason I signed up to Playground Sessions is the opportunity to learn piano with Harry Connick Jr. That's fantastic. When you look at the homepage of the website, he's plastered all over it, and you can see buttons where you can click to see a sample of a beginner lesson and see a sample of an advanced lesson. Well, actually, when you get on the website, there are less than 10 videos with Harry Connick Jr. Less than 10. And each one of those is short. So I haven't totaled them up, but I would be amazed if there was an hour of content in total. And the content that he's providing is pretty damn basic, to be fair. So the actual input from Harry is virtually nothing. In the grand scheme of things, it's virtually nothing. Do not think that if you purchase this, you are going to be learning Harry Connick Jr.'s method of learning to play piano, because it's absolutely not the case. And I would even argue that there's a degree of misrepresentation or misadvertising for this. It's definitely not what it's set out to be. And on the note of other influential names that are on that homepage, you'll also see Quincy Jones. Quincy Jones is nowhere on this site. They're bragging about the fact that he is a co-founder of the website, but he does not contribute in any way that will be noticeable to you. You're not going to be seeing any encouraging videos from Quincy, which would have been a nice touch, wouldn't it, to have a few videos where Quincy talks about piano and influences and the way that the keyboard has influenced his production and things like that. It would be nice, but absolutely none of those. The real issue with the website is ultimately when you use Playground Sessions, you are on your own. So this website, from what I can gather, is owned or certainly co-started by David Sides. Now, I mentioned that this video is not brought to you by Playground Sessions in any way, shape or form. I posted a couple of videos of me playing some stuff from Playground on my Instagram page, and David responded. David left a comment and said, good luck or whatever it was. And I responded and said, hey, David, great to hear from you. Just to let you know, I'm working on a review for Playground Sessions. Would you be interested in contributing in any way, shape or form? He responded with, yes, absolutely. I always love to get feedback from our users. And I said, fantastic, I'll shoot you a DM now. I shot him a DM, waited for a response. That response never came. I left it a day. I tagged him again. He liked my comment reminding me where I reminded him that I've PM'd him. He read my message to him. He never responded. Gave it another day. He never responded. Ultimately, I'm having to put this review out without his input because, in the grand scheme of things, that's really how Playground and how David Sides works. Every single week in the Facebook group, he will make a post welcoming all the new people, tagging them all in. He'll make another post saying, "What are you guys working on?" But if you tag him in any post in that group asking for advice, asking for clarification, do not expect a response. If you want any input from any Playground sessions tutors, you are shit out of luck. You are on your own. When you are in that Facebook group, the only input you are going to get is from other users. You are going to find technical issues with the app, technical issues with things all the time. And there's this blind sense of loyalty to the company if you've signed up, where people will defend things that are essentially indefensible. One of the things that really bugs me is in the app, the flat symbol does not display next to chord symbols for me. I get a different symbol in place. It's a square with an X going through it. And that can be very confusing for a beginner. Again, I can work around it. There is a fix to this. You need to install a font package on your computer to make it work. But Playground don't tell you this. There's no way that Playground tell you this. On the old forums, someone made a post pointing out this issue, and a year later, a solution was found for it. And that solution was not found by anybody at Playground. It was made by a user. And then a year on from then, Playground had still not acknowledged that this was an issue, that something that they could go in and fix. And people were saying, the results were varied, whether or not it was actually achieving the fix that was needed. And eventually this thread was locked, because when it comes to the forums, they're dead and Playground have shut most of them down. So it seems strange to me that a website that is pushing so hard and advertising and getting new people to sign up would essentially just throw you into the pit and say, good luck, get on with it. I feel that that's for the audience that they're looking for, which is beginners. That's awful. That's beyond awful. It would not cost you all that much to have a young, passionate educator on staff to just be in that group, answering people's questions and helping them with the things that they need. Because we're talking real basic things here, and people get lost. They don't know what it is that they should be doing. So this element of feeling like you're on your own is a shame. Now, again, for me, of course, that's never going to be a big issue because I am an independent learner and an educator myself. For me, what I was using Playground for was increasing my ability to, as I mentioned, technical facility and being able to read and apply that thing with my hands. So for me, it's been absolutely fine. But I can imagine that if you're a complete beginner, it could be overwhelming and confusing trying to work out where you are. I also find that there's some issues with pacing, and I really kind of disagree with the way some of the educational content is provided. When it comes to the rookie courses, they are beyond basic. If you have any experience with music, they're going to potentially even be confusing to you, because to avoid using eighth notes, they write everything in 4/2 time, which is a time signature I conceptually understand, but I've never actually seen it in a practical musical situation. It eliminates the need to write using eighth notes, which means when you get onto some of the later examples in the rookie section where there would be syncopation, it's not actually written in a way that you would recognize as being syncopated because it's using quarter notes. And while time signatures are addressed, and they talk about the concept of time signatures, everything goes back to being in 4/2. I personally found that very confusing, and when it does jump to 4/4, it's not really made apparent that you've done that or why you've done that, and it's never really justified why so much of the music is in 4/2. I don't like the way that that's done, and I feel that a lot of the users that are using the app, they're not really learning to read. They're relying on the scrolling bar that moves across the screen, and they're trying to play the notes in time with that scrolling bar hitting, which of course would be a way of achieving what you want, what you need, the end goal of playing the piece, but it's not improving that ability to fully understand why what you're playing is the thing that you're playing. In terms of the complexity of the rookie stuff, I'm not actually crazy on any of the rookie stuff. It's so far removed from the actual original songs that you should be playing that you're basically not playing them. In fact, when it comes to downloading songs, don't bother with rookie material because it's all so unbelievably basic. You're not really playing the song at all. Most of the song is being played by the backing track, and you're just playing some simple quarter notes over the top of it. I would really encourage you to save your credits and use them for intermediate or advanced pieces because they are considerably more achievable. So yeah, definitely issues with the way things are paced. I feel the lessons aren't always in the right order. There was some examples where I'm really struggling with a lesson trying to get arpeggios in my right hand and playing a melody, and then after an hour of practice I've got this down relatively confidently, and then I move on to the next lesson expecting it to be harder, whereas in reality it's a step back and we're just back to playing left hand arpeggios. So poor organization on that front. I don't think a whole lot of thought has gone into how you're doing things. And I just want to come back to that idea of there being very little video content. There is video content there, but most of what you're doing is you're using a program. The program shows you the music and you play along with the program. You work out how to play it. It shows you fingerings and things like that, but it's not someone walking you through and showing you how to play everything, which again does feel like a bit of a shame. And it's worth drawing out that there are no lessons on actually playing like a piano player. And I need to be clear with what I mean by that. I want to play piano. Sure, I do want to play pieces of music. I want to play solo piano things. Don't get me wrong. Those would be fun. Exploring the music of Final Fantasy and things like that. Being able to play those things, wonderful. But actually, at its core, the benefit of learning the piano for me is being able to play with a singer, right? So being able to play the way, let's use Elton John as an example. I might want to play Tiny Dancer on the piano and have someone sing it, or sing it myself. Playground Sessions does not deal with that side of piano playing in the slightest. Every single thing that you are taught on Playground is a classical approach of learning to play a self-sufficient piece of music. So more often than not dealing with harmony or chords in the left hand and playing a melody over the top in the right hand. And ultimately, some people may be drawn to that, but it's a gaping hole in what the site offers, because that skill of being able to play piano in a way that you could do in a social setting, being able to play a song and having people sing along, feels easier technically than playing a melody and chords, and yet it's just not there. And that's a huge shame, and I do definitely take issue with that. So yeah, no real piano playing on there, just some pieces that make you sound like you're doing classical renditions of popular songs. And I also need to make mention of the problems with the iPad app. The iPad app has not been updated in 2 years. It's severely lacking in content compared to the desktop version of the app. None of the game features are there, so I could be practicing on my piano, which is in my house, and I'm not being told when I'm leveling up, which I know sounds petty, but when you get hooked into that sense of achievement, that sense of moving forward, you often push forward and you often try and practice more and do a piece over and over and over because you want to earn more points so you can level up. When you're not being told about that, when you're not being told you're leveling up, it really misses that scratching that itch of feeling like there's a sense of achievement. Now, of course, you are still achieving because you're still practicing, and it is logging those points, but it's just missing that feature of being able to actually look into your account and see what level you're at. And that, to be fair, it bugs me. It does bug me. It seems I'm in a position now where I'm more rewarded by playing here in my studio on my keyboard that I have under my desk than I am sitting in my house at my lovely piano and playing, because when I play on my PC, here looking at the screen, I'm getting the full experience of that competitive aspect of the learning. So the iPad app is definitely a little bit lacking. So that's really the criticisms that I have to say with the app. So I know what you're thinking, Levi, it really sounds like you don't have anything positive to say about this app. And in the grand scheme of things, yeah, sure, I could totally see why you would say that. If you had to ask me, would I recommend this app? The answer would probably still be yes. And that's because the ultimate pro when looking at something like this is, despite all of the pitfalls, despite all of the things that are issues with the program and the way things are run and just how on your own you are and how they don't seem to give a shit once you've given them your money, I've still learnt to play the piano, and I've learnt to do it reasonably well in a very short period of time. Now, of course, results are going to vary from person to person. Professional musician, I'm going to pick these things up much faster. But it's I've toyed around with the piano several times in my life, and this app has motivated me and pushed me forward in that journey. So I will always be forever grateful for that. And as I mentioned, I have a lifetime membership on this website, so I will be putting in a lot more time. I just think it's thoroughly disappointing that there are so many gaping holes and things that could easily be improved, and more focus and budget goes on to misrepresenting what the app is by pushing people like Harry Connick Jr. when you could be putting a lot more time and focus into fostering a sense of community and working with the people that are using your app and paying for the thing that you are providing. Provide people a service. Don't provide people with clever marketing and then just hope that they'll be happy, because sure, you've got me lifetime. I paid a reasonable amount of money and you've got me for a lifetime. But when people are paying monthly, they're going to check this website out, and if it's not for you, you're going to leave. You should be giving people a reason to stick around. There's absolutely a reason to stick around on this app if there was a bigger sense of community and more input from the guys at Playground Sessions. So there you go. Those are my thoughts on Playground Sessions. Let me know if you have checked it out or if you checked out any alternatives to Playground, any of the other piano learning apps out there. I'd love to know your thoughts on them. Ultimately, for me, the apps aren't important. As I said, developing technical facility, being able to read, I can now go to one of the many great piano books that I have, put that up in front of my piano, and I can work from that book considerably more confidently than I could have a month ago. So what you're looking to get out of this is totally down to you, and how much you will get out of it will 100% come down to how much work you are going to put in. This website is not going to hold your hand. So, finally, I just want to say a huge thank you to my wonderful supporters over on Patreon. I know, guys, I've been a little bit lacking over the last month. It's been a busy one with lockdowns and Christmas and New Year's, and yeah, things have been a bit hectic here. I've got a lot of life updates coming, but thank you very much for putting me in a position where I'm able to purchase a membership to a website like this, so I can give you an honest review. You know, this review would absolutely not be honest if my membership was being provided for free, and you would not hear nearly as many criticisms. So thank you so much for your support. If you'd like to check me out on Patreon, link is in the description. And alternatively, if that doesn't suit, you can check out one of my many educational books, several Amazon bestsellers there. I'm sure you will enjoy some of them. Check out the links in the description. Thank you so much for all of your support, guys. If you have any questions, let me know in that comment section below. If you have any thoughts or input, feedback, please do let me know. I love engaging with you guys because that's what a serious educator does. They offer education to people, and then they engage with them and make sure that they understand the things that it is that you're trying to teach them. David Sides, do better, buddy.